computer. Alrighty. So thank you for joining. So this poster will cover my research with Dr. Baird over molecular phylogenetics of Central American shrews. So as we all know, DNA, it's an important discovery for scientists to understand anatomy, function, and its role in evolution. So the advancement of biotechnology enables researchers to basically explore and discover new species from DNA extraction. So at the moment, I'm currently assisting Dr. Baird to understand shrew in the region of Central America and how there's more diversity of this species than it has been described. So the research comprised of three main techniques such as PCR, gel electrophoresis, and DNA sequences to analyze sequences of DNA that were extracted from shrew. So as you can see in this figure at the bottom right-hand corner, it is an example of the Blairina bravicauda, which is commonly known as northern short-tailed shrew that can be found in Central America. And for the next slide, let me see if I can go. Alrighty, there it is. So this is a phylogeny that is based on the 16S gene for the SORX sequence. So at the very top is the Blairina bravicauda, which is taken from GenBank. And it's basically a database where scientists can freely upload their DNA sequences, and those sequences are made to the public. So our data consists of cryptosis, and at the very bottom of this phylogenetic tree, it shows our SORX sequences. So because the SORX sequence are very unique, they are most closely related to the SORX sauri, but we can't really classify this species as being the sequences of SORX as being this species specifically. So since the branches are also scaled to divergence and not time, the tree shows multiple species of Cryptodes and SORX. So divergence simply means that evolution occurs when two groups of the same species evolve within their groups to adapt to different environmental and social pressures. So the occurrence of multiple species means that there are a lot of divergence with different species of shrew. Therefore, further research is required. So we need to obtain more species of Cryptodes to see if there are any relations or the emergence of new species from shrew based on the sequences. So from what we know so far, based on the progression of this research, it isn't clear at the moment whether our SORX sequences represent unidentified species. So if you have questions, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the next poster. So let me see there, just a second. Alrighty, this one is the one I actually did research on my own. So this will go over Earth and solar cell batteries. So as we all know, right, electricity, it's a major factor of how we use as a source of energy. We use electricity in basically everything in our modern life, from appliances, healthcare, public transportation, and etc. So electricity, since it's a major component in our modern life, generating electricity can also further amplify environmental issues that we are currently experiencing, such as climate change, for example. And for the purpose of this research is to build a Earth battery and a solar cell battery prototypes on a smaller scale to see if homemade batteries can produce electricity. So with this in mind, this research looked into possible real-world application to find other means of sustainable resources to generate electricity. So as you can see in these two figures, figure one shows how I construct Earth battery and where I took galvanized bolts and wrapped around copper wire, then placed the bolts into the soil. And the voltages and currents were measured for this battery. So the way how this battery works is where when you have copper and zinc and they're placed in wet mud, it causes a reaction to occur. So the wet mud, it basically acts as an electrolyte solution where it produces an electrical charge, just like how an ordinary battery works. So the movement of electrons within the electrolyte solution is what generates electricity. And as for in figure 2, I created a solar cell battery prototype by wrapping copper wire around a CD flat connected to Zener diodes, and I measured the voltages at different times throughout the day. And from the results, the average voltages um, are higher for the earth battery in comparison to the solar cell. So the number of cells and temperatures are the independent variables for the earth and the solar cell battery respectively. So since this research was done on a smaller scale, I do believe further replication and experimentation are needed to look into different applications for environmental sustainability in regard to how electricity can be generated. So for these two posters, I would like to thank Dr. Baird and Dr. Jang for providing guidance to make these research projects possible. And this will wrap up the two presentation. And if you have any questions right now, you're welcome to ask. I'm ready to answer. Hello, thank you all for joining at different times. It's totally fine. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me anytime.
Would you be wanting to replicate your second experiment at a larger scale?
Yes, I would, but it would require like a lot more materials because there was this one YouTube video I watched and it had like they had like really big copper rods and they just dig it into the soil.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so I found that interesting because they were able to generate higher voltages compared to my small earth battery. But this is just like um a small prototype of how we can look other resources to produce electricity. Yeah. So as you all know, it's like solar panels is very common to generate electricity, but the cost is so much higher compared to just like how we burn coal to generate electricity. So I think this research project is good at looking at other means of how we can search for sustainability practices.
Can you go back to that other slide where you with the disk?
Yeah.
Okay. So
So computer science, do you do more of coding or anything related to like chemistry at all?
no,
Oh,
no
okay,
chemistry.
that's
This is
awesome. Like computer science, I know it's a tough major.
it's very broad, and
Yeah.
I'm being considered for a research opportunity for at U of H.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it's regarding environmental science,
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
reading data analysis for it. It's gonna be a year-long thing, so I'm gonna be learning
Oh,
about stuff like this probably.
okay, that's cool. All right, I can just. So if you have any other question, thank you, Fu. Thank you for joining and for being here. If you have any questions at all, you're welcome to ask me. If you do join later, I have two posters. You're welcome to pick either one, and I'm ready to present it to you.